Hi, everybody. I'm back. I am Connie Koch, and I am the owner and instructor here at the Sewing Project Sewing School. And I'm excited to bring you week one of our sew along. This week, we want to focus on preparing all of our pieces for us to get ready to sewing our project up. So I had mentioned in the first video about gathering up everything, and you will learn tips and tricks that I do. That doesn't mean you personally have to do them, but I have found over my quest and my journey of doll cobbling, what I found was easier for me when I was working with the faux leathers and the vinyls. Let's get started. Okay, as you see here, I have printed out only right now the page where all the pattern pieces are here. So if you haven't done that already because you're all excited to be beginning, that's all you really need to do. You can print out the whole entire instruction sheets if you want, or you can just look at them as we go along on your computer. But this is really what we're focusing on right now. This is really important on all PDF patterns that you do get, is you want to print out your pattern sheets for sure. So if you notice, we're lucky, they're doll shoes, right? And this one just so happens to come on all one sheet. You're only printing out one sheet. This is where, when I said gather up all your stuff, and if you notice, nothing's cut out yet, okay? I showed you this cool chopping mat that I got at the Dollar Tree. I took one of those out, so I'm going to put that aside, because what's going to happen is I'm keeping the integrity of the sheet here. You'll want a Sharpie. I use the ultra fine because it's like a pencil or a pen tip versus the fine or the fatter one. But the ultra fine I love, and this is why, because it gives you that fine tip that you can trace along. And Sharpie, for the most part, it will rub off. Don't let that fool you, but for the most part, it literally stays with the integrity, depending on how much you use it. But Sharpie, I found, works the best to trace on this template plastic, okay? And you definitely don't want to do the smooth side. I don't. You can try it out, but I just put it on the more texture feeling side. For this particular pattern, I'm going to trace every single one of these pattern pieces onto the template. If you notice, I did cut this one out, okay? And I pre-punched holes. This is our template, actually, to kind of make sure that we have our accent piece here. As you see, that kind of goes there. And then to mark where we need to punch our holes on our faux leather that we're working on. So after you get all this traced out and making sure that you traced it out good and it's the integrity of this, and you'll see me testing it out because I don't just trace it out, cut it out, and assume that I cut right or I traced right, then you'll want to cut this out. So I'm getting ready to trace, and this is all I do. I kind of put it over here. If you want, you can line it up with the edge of this so you only cut out the round. I mean, if you want to save template, save template. If you don't want to, then you don't have to. So here I begin, right? You're just tracing. This is where shaky hands aren't as good. So if you notice too, as I'm tracing, my hand is completely on here and stabilizing it. Let me do one more. I'll do one more bigger one so you can see what I do. So here's this one, right? Okay. And then I'm gonna just, I maneuvered this. I kind of want to do it a little bit over and down. So here you go, tracing this one. Cut out that corner, so I just now you definitely want these triangle marks, Okay, so you need to add that. You can color those triangle marks in. I just did it. You don't have to, but you definitely need all these ones that do have the triangle marks. They play a big, huge part in our assembly, so you definitely need that. And what else do you need? Okay, so I have that, right? So what else do I need? I don't have to, you know, use this sheet for it, but I will just write, you write what you want, but this is a pattern piece that you need to keep, so you need to know what goes to what, right? I just put Appletotes, and then I'll put high top sneakers. So if they ever get lost or on the floor somewhere, you know. And then I put what it is, tongue. Okay. And then just cut 2. That's all I'll write on that. So I will finish this off. I've been known, I've had to recut some of my patterns because I've really gone off askew, and you really want to be pretty much spot on if you're going to be tracing your patterns onto the templates. All right. Here, let me flip that over. Can you see all that? So I transferred pretty much everything, and I have a lot left. If you can notice, this is all blank, but I transferred everything. Now, I'll be honest with you, be careful with this, because I really, when I'm cutting plastic, I don't like to get this close. Okay, now if you're doing this, putting it super close because you want to save your faux leather, awesome, go for it. But you kind of want a little leeway in between, a little breathing room when you're cutting plastic, just in case you overkill it. And plastic, you'll find out if you haven't cut it, it likes to like snap or break a little bit, you know, give it a little more whoosh in there. So, but I'll take my chances. I'm not going to redo it. So next step is, after you transfer all that, is we're going to cut it out. So this is where your good pair of paper scissors or utility scissors come in, okay? You do need them good and sharp because you're cutting on plastic. Do not use your good fabric scissors that I told you to get or have available for this purpose. You definitely want just to have a different pair of scissors for that. So I just cut all this off so I don't have to deal with the rest of the plastic, the template plastic. Put that off to the side. So now I'm dealing with this, and I'll be honest with you, I will cut them out each individually. So I only have one little section of each pattern piece, okay, for me to deal with. So I don't have that whoops if it does slide and want to split the plastic. So this is going to be iffy, but I'm just going to get that off too, just in case that may happen. So there you go. So this is a tip for you. You can cut out however you want. Now, this is what we're going to do. I will cut pretty much on the line, okay? Just because I know I traced on the line. So just like cutting out your pattern piece, you kind of want to make sure that you have your smooth strokes, okay? Plastic is a whole different breed of cutting. And you don't want those jaggy edges because this is your template that you're going to be tracing from. And if you notice, I don't try to turn those corners. I'm just going to show you this one right now. And then I'm going to show you what I do for each individual piece. And yes, you may ask, wow, that's a lot of steps, but you know what? I'd rather be accurate before and prep these pattern pieces how they should be before I start sewing than if I didn't, because you will be way off, and that will either make or break if they fit your doll foot or not. So I'm just going to go in, and this is how I do that little triangle piece. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Now, I just use that as a guide. So when I put it up, my pattern piece, I'll lay it on there and you'll notice it. And then I just do my marking. I'm not going to cut that out. I just want to leave that is the integrity. This obviously is part of the integrity of the shoe. Okay, so you do definitely cut that out. So that's what you do. The next step is, let me move all this out of the way, is I always test it. I'll be honest with you. And no, I haven't always been correct and spot on, especially the soles, you guys. I've had to redraw and recut soles a few times, and some of the other pattern pieces. So what you're going to do is, see how I'm lining that up? You just want to line that up, and I'm making sure that it is that size. Okay. And I think I did it. Yay. So I will do that with each template that I'm cutting out. So I will cut, and then I will make sure that it matches. Okay. And if it doesn't, if it's too big, obviously all you have to do is trim a little more, correct? But if it's too small, then you really definitely need to go back and redraw and recut. Okay, so let's get to cutting the template pieces. Okay, I found one that I totally cut off the corner. So I want you, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to draw out my template on this, and you're going to see how I cut out that corner, because it will make a difference. And this is kind of where you need to make sure that it doesn't cut off the corner. But right here, right there, that little minute, not having it rounded all the way around will make a difference. And so I will be redrawing this pattern piece and cutting it out again. So I do have one that I have to do a repeat on. So I'll put that to the side and actually in my scrap pile. So let's stick cutting. So far, so good. Okay. Here's another one, everybody. And I'm going to show you so you can see that I really jacked up on this. And it could be because I'm trying to do this all on camera, but this will really be important. The other one's not so much, but this one is huge. So if you notice, can you see that? See that right there where I drew in black is where it, you know, that will make a big difference in your end result. And I know it's just maybe a minute millimeter of something, but it is huge. So I will be redrawing, of course, my sole. It gets me every time. So don't feel defeated if you have to redraw that one. And then this one. So I'll be doing that, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, as you see, I have all my pieces cut out. I redid my sole, okay, and I redid my strap. And that happens. So don't think that, you know, you're the only one. Hopefully it's not too many pieces. So just take your time with that step. The other thing that you'll want to do is, once all those templates are done, which basically that's every single pattern piece that's on that sheet, you will definitely then want to cut out this upper part. Okay, cut it out and then get your holes punched. Okay. And then once we have all that, now we're ready to start tracing. This we don't need, so we're going to set that aside, and we're going to start tracing. So this will go, every single thing you see here, except for your soles, will be put on the faux leather. So I'm going to actually set the soles aside for after we trace everything onto our faux leather. So we need to cut 2 of these, and for the most part these are pretty symmetrical pattern pieces, so these aren't mirrored. But remember, we're tracing on the back of our faux leather, so if you definitely have a situation where there's a left and a right with your upper pattern pieces, you definitely need to make sure that you do one with your writing up, right, and then that textured side goes down and the smooth sides go up, and then you flip it around. Okay, so always be aware of that and make sure of that. So I'm just going to trace. Okay. And I'm using a pencil. If you have darker things, you may want to use like a piece of soap or whatever, pen. I find pencils a little easier, sharp pencil. And you're just going to hold it there and trace it. Okay. I know, a lot of tracing, right? So there's our first piece. Now, you can save and snuggle them and do all that sorts of stuff. Obviously, we need 2 uppers. So I'll be tracing 2 of the uppers. I'll be tracing 2 of our little back appliques. I'll be tracing 2 of our top appliques, or upper appliques. I'll be tracing 2 of our tongues, and I'll be tracing 4 of our high backs. This is the high back part of it that gets stuffed, and I will be tracing 4 of our straps that house the Velcro straps. So these I kind of put aside because I'm tracing 4 of those, and I'll get all my 2s, and that's how you work it. You just trace it out, and then again, we're gonna cut all those pieces out, and then we're gonna go up to the soles. Okay, look, I'm back. Magic of video, right? Anyway, I just wanted to show you how I just kind of quickly laid it out. I still have quite a bit left in here, depending on your piece on how you're going to do it. And again, I'm just going to like release all my drawn pieces away from the rest of my vinyl here, my faux leather, okay? And I'll just set that to the side. And then I'll just be cutting it out. Be careful when you're, again, get your nice fabric scissors out and start cutting away. And then when all those pieces are done, we will get to the soles. So now you see all my faux leathers pieces are cut out. Okay, so I'm really just going to gather them all up and set them off to the side. We will be grabbing a couple pieces for this week just to get them a little more extra prepared. Now we want the soles. Okay, so for this actually so long, I know I had said to you that, you know, I usually like to use chipboard, but I want to prove to you that you can get a really also nice result from just using the, you know, cereal boxes or a good, nice cardboard, you guys, okay? So remember, this does have a right and a left side, okay? And even though, I know it seems weird, but to me, this isn't the right side of this, it doesn't really matter, but I'm just gonna just flip them. And I do mark them saying right, left. So I'm just gonna trace around. So I want 3 like this, and this is the right side, okay? I just put an R there. I'm just laying out 3, and then I will flip it over and trace 3. I'm staying away from the, so this worked out perfectly actually. Oops, what am I doing? I flipped it over already. You saw me in a whoops. Okay, so that's the right side. Those are all, so 3 of them make 1 right, and then I flipped it over and going to trace 3. And then with that, obviously, you know I have to cut all those out. Okay, and I'll just put one here. And you know, cardboard and foam and stuff does not have a grain line, so it really doesn't matter how you place them. Okay, so I have 3 lefts, and I'm just marking them lefts. Okay, so that is all. See that? That's all ready for me to cut out. So I'm just going to set that aside. So here is the little 2mm fun foam. Okay, now with this, we're not cutting out 3 of these. We're cutting out only 2. 1 right and 1 left. So all I have to do is trace this twice. There's 1 And there's my right. I don't write it down, but you can kind of tell, you guys, it does have a right and a left. And then here's my other one, and I just flipped it over. And I want you to notice they're mirroring each other, okay? So only 2 of those that we will be cutting out. And also as well, here's my 6mm. And I chose white. I'm actually just doing just white old sneakers with some hot pink, I think, hot pink. I still have another video I don't have to commit to, right? So I am just going to trace that, and then I cut that out, okay? And those are the 2 that I cut out. So those will be all cut out. So I just traced out all the pieces to the soles in the cardboard or chipboard. Cardboard, remember, 3 each foot, and chipboard just 1 each because it is thick enough. So, and then the 2mm and the 6mm foam, just a right and a left. So cut those out, set those aside, put them in a Ziploc baggie or something to that effect, because we're not going to be working with them for a while. All right, so now what I want to do is bring back my 2 uppers. And this is where we want our pattern piece, and we want to lay it right up there, match your edges. And I'm just taking my pencil and I am just marking those holes. That is my template. Can you see those? They look so close together. Isn't that funny? But anyways, that's your middle. Those are your holes for your where we're going to punch our holes at. So you want to do that with the next one as well. And you can kind of see them. Got that? So just pencil. Gotta get my right one. So basically, I'm using, of course, it's actually called a crocodile. I didn't say that in the first video, but this is called a crocodile. And I'm actually going to be using my smaller hole puncher right here. So you just take it and line it up, or you can do it manually. Okay, sorry guys. I need to put my glasses on for this one. All right, now I'm just going to line it up. And it's hard for you to see this, but I actually see my dot I made, and I lined up that little puncher, and I just squish it and it punched the hole for me. Okay, so I'm going to do that all 6 of them on one and all 6 of them on the other. Okay, so I'm going to rethink this. I did one, and so actually what I'm going to do is, if I can, so I get them even. Ah, I did it. So just make sure that's all lined up, okay? If you want, before you even punch the holes, you can fold it. So that's your best bet. So now I'm all even. So there you go. So I will do that how I did it on the first one. So you technically, now I'll just, hey, I'm figuring out the easier way than I did it the first time around. So I will take only one of those holes and I will mark them, and then just fold it in half. Just make sure it is so even and it does not move on you. And then you have 3 holes to punch, double hole each punch when you do it. And then you are going to have even shoelace holes on both sides. For both of them. The other thing that we want to prep this week is we're going to take, and this, I know this is white on white, we're going to take our top applique and we want to glue base that on. Okay, so remember I said the Beacon Fabri-Tac, that's how I'm going to be glue basting it on. So you don't have to do the whole entire thing. We're going to be stitching this, okay? But I'm just going to do it kind of in the middle, just a slight little glue, okay, all the way to the edge. Keep it, we want to keep it sound. I didn't do ton, okay? I know you can't see that on camera, but don't blop it out. And then all you need to do, and the reason why I did the holes first is because they are really your guide. And so are these two top applique pieces. You want them right to that edge, and see how it just molds into place. And then this will mold into place. And then this side molds into place. Just like that, okay? And this is what it's gonna look like, okay, before stitching. So just make sure that you let that set, and it'll be really good to go when we work on it next week. So that is what you're going to do with your next one. So now here's the second one on. All right, so there you go, right? We have done a lot. So you should have all, by the end of this week, going on to our next week, you need all your faux leather pieces cut, okay? Ziploc baggie, put them in there. You should have your uppers with your holes punched in them, and then glue basting your upper applique on. And you should do that to both of them. Carefully set those aside. You should have your soles from your 2mm foam to your 6mm foam, as well as your chipboard or the cardboard, all those cut out and put in another Ziploc baggie, okay? And we're leaving those in pieces as we stand right now. We're not doing anything with those. And you know what? That is it. That is absolutely it for today, for this week. And that is a lot of prepping. You guys, it's not easy. You all want to get to the fun stuff, I know, but to get really nice quality looking shoes, you want to take that time to make sure that you're tracing right and you're cutting right, and everything will fit beautifully because the pattern is made beautifully. And I know you'll find that out soon. So to my sewing room, to you, have a blast, and we will see you back here real soon.